You got to enforce the laws, but here's the problem is as long as there are racial differences, which I do believe there are, you're going to have these persistent inequalities. They're just not going to achieve at the same level. And you can kind of tell them over and over again, well, it's a level playing field. It's fair. If you wind up with less, that's just the game. Don't hate the player, hate the game. That will never satisfy them. If you're persistently poor, have less income, less wealth, less jobs, less education, less power, and they're telling you, well, you deserve that. That's the market, or that's just, that's what you've earned. It's creating the situation we have now where it creates malicious envy. And they start to say, well, we want power. We want stuff. We want what you have. And I don't know what the answer to that is. That's a very difficult problem. I think that, they're trying to solve this with this colorblind meritocracy argument you hear now, where they say, well, we'll just let the chips fall where they may. Yeah, you try that. But again, over generations, people are unequal. They start to get angry about it. And then they start to express that rage in identity politics. And they start to say, we're coming to get what's ours. We want more. We don't care if we have less because it's fair or it's not fair. We want a bigger share of the pie. We're coming to take it. And this is that's where we are in America with all these different racial groups.
Well, they get told that the reason they're suffering, all their problems come from white people. And so they have a bad day. They get pulled over because their registration isn't up to date. Mm-hmm. And it's because of white people. And eventually the dumber ones are going to go and just start shooting pretty white girls because of this deep-seated animosity that white people have helped them foster. And it seems like, judging from New York, this is going to sound super racist. And by the way, when I started this question, there's a lot of black people saying, what are we going to do about the black problem?
Right.
So I'm talking about a particular thing within that group. But there's certain type of ghetto blacks who are violent, who just don't do well with flattery. And I've seen this with my black friends, like at my boxing gym, when I say, you're fucking amazing, man. You're like, you're a phenom. Instead of them doing what white people would do, is just be like, well, I just work hard and I got good cardio and I train a lot. They just go, that's right, man. I could kill anyone. I could fuck up anyone in this room. And I'm like, yeah. Kind of ruined my compliment there by ingesting it. And you see that on a global, maybe a global scale with that particular group, where every compliment just seems to turn into arrogance and violence and animosity.
Yeah, I think they're kind of beyond help.
That's hilarious. So the solution is just prison. Like, do a good job, be a good boy, or you're going to jail.
It's like we talked about it. Then you create these cycles, though, and I don't know if there is any solution with any kind of finality that people are prepared for, because really at the bottom of it, it's that we have a multiracial society to begin with, that there's lots of blacks and lots of whites.
That's not together. Changing. So don't talk about that changing. We have to start. That's the starting line.
That's sort of the basis. And on full legal social equality. But then on top of that, you have integration. So you have a country with large numbers of people, and then you have this idea that it's actually a good to push them into contact with each other and to be completely integrated. And I think that as long as you have large groups of people living together, integrated, and they achieve at these very disparate levels, there's just going to be resentment. And it's just about managing that anger and resentment, because, again, how satisfying is it to tell black people that are chronically unemployed, chronically poor, uneducated, that's just what you deserve. You're just not as smart, or you're just not like it, on some level it's true because the average IQ is what it is, but will people ever accept that? Eventually they're going to say, I just want more.
But whites have accepted that in sports and music.
But sports and music isn't the same as money, wealth, material conditions.
Sports is wealth. Money is wealth.
Yeah, but we sort of see
Jay-Z has the most expensive house in the history of California.
But how many NBA players are there in the whole world?
Yeah.
It's like a few dozen, We're talking about, when they say systemic, there is something systemic. It's not racism, though. It's just that, on a group level, these conditions are there. blacks are generally poorer than whites and always have been, and that's probably never going to change outside
So
of.
what we've done is we've gone, all right, there's different IQ here. So the higher IQs are going to have more money.
Mhm.
That's embarrassing. We don't, it's, you're walking around with a nicer car. It sounds like you're better than someone with a shitty car. We can't have that. It's very uncomfortable. Women have a big problem with that kind of thing. Men are like, I guess he's better than me. So they tried, okay, well, let's just give them money. And now they won't feel bad. We'll tell them that the reason they don't have money is because people don't like them because they don't like colors of skin. Mm-hmm. And then we'll give them money. But that clearly made things much worse. So let's at least go back to the no welfare thing where there's not an incentive to have babies out of wedlock. And maybe if we can get the family back together, is that a pipe dream?
It's possible, but the thing is about that whole idea of like blacks being traditional and all this, it happened when they were being oppressed by whites. It happened before the Civil Rights Act. So if we go back to telling them what to do, they have to listen.
Well, that is what law enforcement is.
Right.
Like you get like there was that guy who went in Texas. He went in, he stabbed a 6-year-old boy in his bed. He just got out after 10 years. Proud Boys did 4 years for fighting Antifa, a fight they didn't start. So the guy stabbing a little boy in his bed is about twice as bad as fighting Antifa for 17 seconds. If we could just get the justice system fixed, that is telling bad people what to do.
Right. But again, then over time, they're going to start to have a problem with that. They're going to start to say, why are the prisons filled with black people? Why are neighborhoods filled with cops? Why is it always black faces getting shot by cops on TV? This is just, whether it's Rodney King or it's George Floyd or it's Trayvon Martin, it always turns into a problem. But that's just a feature of the underlying issue, which is there's going to be more blacks in prison than whites. There's going to be more rich white people